Personally, I believe Super Mario Galaxy 2 has some of the most difficult levels out of all of the Mario games. I mean, there's so many unique challenges like the Daredevil runs, purple coins, cosmic clones, and speedruns. So today we'll discuss which 10 stars are the absolutely most brutal and demanding, and we will include every star in the game except for the green stars. So without further ado, let's get started. World S definitely earned this title as a post-game marathon. It has some of the most difficult stars and prankster comments in the entire game. Flip Out Galaxy takes the concept of controlling blue and red platforms with Mario's spin ability, just like Flip Swap Galaxy from World 1. Except this time Mario's spins don't just control small little panels. They control the entirety of the land you can interact with. There's several instances where you can get time spins to thread needles and connect precise wall jumps, and it can be very tricky at times. But the thing is, that's the normal star for the galaxy. The prankster comet adds an entirely new layer of difficulty to the already heavily layered difficulty cake. This specific prankster comet is a cosmic clone comet, which means Mario has a trail of deadly Marios following him everywhere you go. For a level like this, where you constantly need to reposition Mario to set up the platforms and angle your precise jumps, the cosmic clones create an absolute nightmare. You can't stand still for a second, and you can't move back to set up a jump. You have very little room to work with overall. This also basically becomes a Daredevil run because if you do end up getting hit by a cosmic clone, you're very likely to be stormed by a few of them, or you'll simply just be hit off your platform or hit in midair and fall into the black hole below. The only reason this isn't that high on the list is because if you can speed through it pretty well, it's pretty easy for the cosmic clones not to catch up to you, so they don't become much of an issue. And with enough tries, it'll become easier and easier to set up, so it isn't an insane amount of trouble, but it can definitely be a doozy in the first time around. Okay, I'm gonna be straight honest, this could potentially be a personal one, and it might not really apply to everyone else, but I actually played Super Mario Galaxy 2 originally before Galaxy 1. So I struggled a lot with the rush of bosses from a game I hadn't played. If I included more opinion, this would be a bit higher, but I think this spot is justified because a boss split speedrun is never completely straightforward because of the time limit. And with somewhat difficult battles such as Fiery Dino Piranha and Bouldergeist, the timer can really catch up to you. It's not that the timer is even that tight at all, but the stress of having to rush through so many bosses in such a small amount of time makes it kind of hard to operate as efficiently as possible, which can really hinder gameplay. Remember Luigi's purple coins from Super Mario Galaxy? Well, this star is practically the same except it's slightly on crack. From what I know, the layout is identical. You collect 100 purple coins across Luigi made of ooze that swallows Mario whole within a short time limit. And what makes this more difficult is that this time, there's a load of cosmic clones that chase you. As I mentioned earlier, they're a real pain that make it super hard to take your time, and this time you have much less space to work with, and platforms disappear, and there's just some difficult platforming overall. It makes for an incredibly difficult star that can easily drain hundreds of your lives. And think about it, this was number 2 on my hardest Super Mario Galaxy 1 stars list, and it was much easier in that game. It goes to show how much more difficult Super Mario Galaxy 2 can be, and trust me, the stars coming up just keep getting a lot harder. Silver Stars in the Cyclone is yet another remake of a pretty difficult star from Super Mario Galaxy 1. I actually really enjoy this star since the difficulty comes in the form of pure precise platforming. It's not gimmicky or BS or anything. The spinning cyclone is a huge cylinder with moving platforms, thwomps, and those moving cubes that squish you back from shifting sandland in Super Mario 64. The objective for this star is to collect 5 silver stars that are spread out across the galaxy, and some of them require precise movements like tight wall jumps, long jumps, and triple jumps on precise intervals that punish you very severely if you manage to screw them up. It also punishes you if you try to cut corners or rush too far, since there's obstacles on literally every corner. It's a doozy of a star, and you're really going to need to plan your route on how to optimally collect the stars in a reasonable time limit. Like, there's no time limit, but let's be honest, no one wants to spend more than 2 minutes on a Mario level. It's definitely a doozy, but a fun one at that. Oh god, the Flipsville Galaxy Prankster comment just really burns me up. So we got a purple coin star on a particularly tight timer. The goal is straightforward: collect 100 purple coins under the time limit, but the execution certainly isn't as straightforward and not fun at all. So the gimmick is that the gravity constantly switches, and there's 9 different sections that you can access via the spin drill power-up, and you can only travel to the right section if the gravity is on your side. And you can also only collect the few purple coins that are contained in each sector if the gravity is also on your side. So it can really be a tedious process that feels like you've got to rely on the Lord and Savior RNGesus, that you get good cycles that allow you to get everywhere you need to go within the time limit. I don't think this deserves to be as high as number 6 on the list, but there's just so much that's out of the player's control. I put it this high on the list because there's just not always something you can do about it. Sometimes you're just gonna lose and you have to accept it, which that shouldn't be how a good level's designed. We can't keep letting Nintendo get away with stars like this. First they made that stupid bomb cleanup mission in Galaxy 1, then they decided to up the ante with the box breaking minigame. Upside Dizzy Galaxy is a pretty fun galaxy, don't get me wrong, but this star is a complete deal breaker. So you get the deal, you're given the Fire Flower power up, and need to break a crap ton of boxes under a very strict time limit. I mean, this is definitely the most strict timer in the game. You literally need to be perfect to get it done on time. You can't miss a single angle down to the degree, a single joystick shift, a single motion control, a single A press timing. If you mess up a singular action, it's nearly impossible to win. Me and my homies absolutely cringe at the thought of this star. It's so stupid, yet so difficult, and Nintendo accidentally created one of the most difficult stars in the entire game, just chasing a stupid gimmick that they felt like they needed to continue from Galaxy 1. Finally, we've made it to a point where it's not just stars that are gimmicky and stupid for their reasons of being challenging, but actually challenging the fact that they're actually an enjoyable challenge and they're good platforming stages. I really enjoyed Tall Trunk's Slide for being such a cool reference to the various slide stars from Super Mario 64. The only problem is when the purple coins come into play. There's 140 purple coins scattered across the slide, which certainly seems like a lot, but the slide isn't insanely easy. Mario turns across the slide incredibly slow, and with the spread of the purple coins being all over the place along with the wigglers and spiny bushes to dodge and jump over, it's incredibly easy to miss more than what's required. On paper, it sounds pretty easy, but if you see it for yourself, it's obvious that it's an incredibly rigorous test that can easily get the best of the player. The biggest issue is that the entire level is pretty long, more than a minute, so every time you don't collect enough coins, it's back to the star and it can easily build up frustration and a lack of patience, which just makes doing this Prankster Combat run that much more difficult. Finally, a Daredevil run's on this list. There really isn't as many hard Daredevil runs in this game as there is in Mario Galaxy 1. Daredevil Prankster Combats have Mario at a single hit point, usually for just a single boss fight or small area, and they can be major road bumps. But Bowser Jr.'s Boomsday Machine is an incredibly fun and unique boss fight that's pretty easy normally, but is really difficult on a Daredevil run. Wait a minute. The Daredevil run isn't just the boss fight? So for some reason on this specific star, Nintendo decided that making the boss fight of Daredevil run wasn't enough, and it probably still would have made this list if it was just the boss fight, but they made the entire Galaxy level a Daredevil gauntlet. The level is pretty difficult and has a composition of boomerang bro fights, cannon shooting, and a huge flooded poison section that wasn't even in the stage originally. Then there's the actual boss fight itself, which isn't changed at all, but the problem is that even the original level is incredibly difficult to get through without a hit or two, since you need to dodge so many things at once like electricity, fireballs, and the Boomsday Machine itself. So in this instance, the Daredevil run makes an easy boss fight incredibly hard. In my opinion, it's one of the most difficult Prankster Combats and stars in the entire game. But if you think this is difficult, you're in for a real storm with the next 2 stars. The absolute hardest, most frustrating stars in the entire game. Alright, let's be honest. It's not a Super Mario Galaxy video if I don't complain about the frickin' motion controls. Even 13 years later, they're still awful. Purple coin stars are usually pretty difficult, but this time they put it on the stupid ball level. Not only that, it's a ball level in which you're forced to continually move with no way of backtracking for any missed purple coins. To make matters even worse, There's a time limit, and a strict one at that, and only 110 coins, so if you miss just a mere 11 coins, you're forced to start over from the very beginning. So while on the Rainbow Road, you're always forced to move as fast as possible, and with the way the purple coins are set up, it's really hard to hit every single one without a single slip up. And when there are little small gaps of flat areas with a few purple coins on them, it's a trap. You have no time to chill because if you hang still for too long, you'll lose track of time and let the short time limit run out. And the timer doesn't even stop until the very end, since the last few purple coins are contained within the stupid ball. So you need to make a rush to the end before time runs out. I know this sounds like a lot, but I can really easily generalize it in a few words. Be perfect. There's a very small margin of error. If you try to be too precise, the time gets you. If you try to go too fast, you don't get enough coins. If you slip up, you fall off the damn Rainbow Road. This is not a star to take lightly, trust me, you will indeed struggle here. I wish you the best of luck, because you're definitely going to need it. Oh wow! The Perfect Run is the hardest star in Super Mario Galaxy 2. Big shock. The Perfect Run is obviously the hardest star in the entirety of Super Mario Galaxy 2. The difficulty of the Perfect Run is incomparable to anything else in the whole game. It's the ultimate marathon of everything the game has thrown at you up to this point. You get to do it all in a single run with a single hit point. So let's get started from the top. The first section is a 2D gauntlet where you use Yoshi on the flower pole stars in order to dodge a bunch of spikes and enemies, which can be pretty tedious at times, but luckily it's only the first section, so dying here sets you back like 10-20 seconds. The next section is what I personally believe is the easiest and most forgiving. You hit a bunch of switches while dodging a fire beam that chases you, and you still have Yoshi at this point, so it really shouldn't cause as much of a major struggle here. Next is where stuff starts picking up a little bit. It's another 2D section where you need to traverse a maze of electricity and wind by utilizing the Cloud Flower, and if you miss an input ever so slightly, it will pretty much always lead to a death. Next we have the infamous Shockwave Room, where you navigate a bunch of flip panels that you activate by spinning, all while you're being shot at by enemies, and multiple shockwaves are always within your range. This is where it begins to get devastating to die and lose all of your progress. Then there's a huge Pulsar section where you need to navigate a handful of obstacles, and it's pretty easy to slip up and get shocked by the electricity, mainly because at this point, like, you're gonna be shaky, sweaty, and it's a simple section, but trust me, you're gonna feel awful if you mess it up, and you're probably gonna mess it up a few times if it's your first time playing through the Perfect Run. Lastly, we have the infamous gauntlet of Hammer and Boomerang Bros, along with flipping platforms that don't let you settle for even a second. There's a lot to pay attention to, and it's really easy to get hit by a stray hammer you don't even see coming. The final battle is you just fight 3 Hammer Bros at once. While it can be insanely stressful since it's a very final obstacle of the gauntlet, and losing after coming this far is heartbreaking, and you'll probably want to throw your controller. There is no doubt that this star is one of the most difficult in the entire Mario 3D franchise, and it's a really great challenge to have at the end of such a marathon of a Mario game. Hey, thank you for watching this video. If you like it, don't forget to like and subscribe, all that. See you next time. Peace out.